and welcome once again to another episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know. I'm once again the man who knows too much about Batman, back in the driver's seat. This is Ben, and with me are...
My word, it's Beppo. I mean me! Andrew, what's going on, everybody?
And it's me, Zach Octavius, ready to hear about all those nasty ne'er-do-wells that took out Thomas and Martha in our favorite subject,
Yes.
the death of the Waynes.
Yes. So today, as we've brought up, we asked the question, do you know the many killers of the Waynes? This episode occurred to me because we have an episode on the different versions of Robin's origin. We have the different episodes on Cyborg's origin, the Justice League's origin, but not different versions of Batman's origin so much. And you might have to wonder how many different variations could there be. We constantly see this shit all the time with the Waynes walking out of the theater, going down the wrong alley, somebody shoots them. But there are different variations to what happened. This episode specifically is on the killers. We know in the comics that their killer was Joe Chill, or was it Jack Napier, or was it the killer who was never caught?
I
We
need
find out
one
It's
answer,
a weird
Ben.
history. Yes.
Comic book fans need the one single answer.
I know.
Even though there's a multiverse and a million
Yeah.
different versions.
So we get this kind of weird history and almost a weird connection between the two killers as well, of Joe Chill and the Joker. And I don't think anyone's really seen the connection until what we're going to bring about here. So, like previous episodes, we are sticking with main continuity and adaptations and variations on the murder itself. So no Elseworlds, no Flashpoint, and it's mostly on the murderers. I originally included a lot of other stuff in terms of the different details, but that just got too long, and so we're saving all that for the evolution of Wayne murders in the future Patreon episodes.
We're not covering speeding bullets.
We are not covering Speeding Bullets, we're not covering
Okay.
Flashpoint, any of that type of stuff. So,
None of that shit.
nope. So,
So get used to it, everybody.
yes, let us begin, shall we? Classic moment here. 1939, the very first origin of the Batman origin, was published as a prologue to the story The Batman Wars Against the Dirigible of Doom in Detective Comics number 33. The issue is by Gardner Fox, but the origin part is, of course, written by Batman's creator himself, Bill Finger, with pencils by Bob Kane, and letters and background inks by Sheldon Moldoff. One fateful night, as we see here, the Wayne family encounters a mugger who demands Martha Wayne's necklace, and Thomas tries to fight back, and both of Bruce's parents are shot right in front of his very eyes. Bruce, however, is spared. And so, since the killer is never caught, Bruce makes a vow to avenge his family by fighting crime. Pretty straightforward. Now, we know the two killers we're discussing today are Joe Chill and the Joker, but before we get into them, let's discuss the history of people Bruce suspected of being the killer, who turned out to be innocent. So let's go down the list of suspects, starting with the time that Bruce thought it was the Zodiac Killer. Bet you weren't expecting that.
Makes
Man,
sense.
Okay.
So, I feel like maybe 2 or 3 people watching have read this comic, and yes, that is Clark Kent, aka Superboy, in this comic next to him.
Oh, shit.
I'll read the panel as Bruce, as Zach will read as Superboy. The thief who slew my parents must have been the Zodiac Killer, and for that, he'll pay with his life.
Bruce, you've got to forget about revenge. No man should be the judge, prosecutor, and jury.
I'm above the law.
Notice he doesn't say executioner, which is interesting given what happens later. But anyway, what the hell is the story? This is a Superboy issue, Superboy number 182 from 1972, called The Forging of Young Batman, written by Leo Dorfman, pencils by Bob Brown, and inks by Murphy Anderson, and it is the first instance I could find of young Bruce Wayne trying to investigate and track down the killers of his parents before he became Batman. In a previous Superboy adventure many years ago, thanks to a device that allows Clark to look into the future and across time, Superboy is able to see that Bruce Wayne is going to grow up into becoming Batman. Cut to this issue then, Superboy 182, and Superboy meets Bruce right after his parents are killed.
I need the review of this issue, Ben. This looks like a 9 out of a 10. What do you think?
It is amazing.
It is?
It's one of the It's one of the issues that like nobody has read, and yet you read it and you're just like, what a mindfuck this is. And seeing this, so
So it's a recommendation from you.
recommended just for how crazy it is. Yeah. So
Okay, I love that. That's
I'll
awesome.
sum up some of it, but Bruce's parents are killed, and then when he goes back to the crime scene, he overhears two Gotham City police cops talking about how the Waynes were killed under the sign of Sagittarius, and that means that a serial killer named the Zodiac Killer is responsible. No relation to the real Zodiac Killer from a few years earlier in the late 60s.
I mean,
But-
there's always a fucking Zodiac going
Yeah.
on, and some like any day of the
Yeah.
week, any night of the week. So, okay, it's comic book logic at this time. but-
Yeah, I guess it's just like
Yeah.
under a specific sign, but that means then that the killer's doing this every month, I guess. Anyway, Bruce is determined to get revenge and goes out to track down the culprit, and Superboy helps Bruce create a costume for him. But it's not a bat suit. Let's take a look at this getup here. So Bruce is
that's
in
snazzy.
like what looks like a purple leotard with trunks on the outside as usual, a cape, and a cowl with no ears on it. So
It's kind of like a mixture between Bob Kane's original design for Batman and the Batman that we all know and love.
yeah, it is.
It's like a
It
cross
seems like
between them.
just needs a little bit more red, you know.
What's the year on this again?
1972.
72. Oh, this is way after Bill Finger's initial shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, everyone clicking on this thinks we're just going to talk about the standard Joe Chill shit. I decided to mix things up. So here we have Superboy helping Bruce select a costume. Superboy nicknames him Bat Lad, and Bruce calls himself, though, the Executioner. So, we talked about this in our Batman training timeline video, but this is actually the third costume persona that Bruce takes on as a boy during his training. First was Robin in Detective Comics 226, as well as the Flying Fox in Adventure Comics 275, which is how he first met Clark in Smallville. So anyway, later on during this investigation, Superboy and the Executioner find out that the Zodiac Killer is actually non-existent. It's a work of fiction created by a reporter to sell papers. So Bruce is disappointed in this, and Superboy is like, shame on you, Bruce, for basically trying to go almost too far in his crusade. So Bruce hangs up the cowl of the Executioner, not knowing that one day he will don a much different costume and help Clark in his war on crime. So didn't know there was going to be a World's Finest crossover episode, but
It
here we
looks
are.
sort of like fucking Magneto to me. this suit. The colors are
It's-
close. The cape is close.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's weird, and it's also the cover is misleading. I expected him to be in
Right.
a little Batman costume, just like that.
Right, yeah, because he in the cover, it's him in kind of the Batman costume with no bat insignia on his
Right.
chest, but in the blue and gray with no cowl. So that's what you kind of expect, but instead they throw you this wild shit of the Executioner outfit, and it's kind of hilarious. So anyway, that is when Bruce thought it was the Zodiac Killer. Let's go into the next suspect, which is Wayne Enterprises. So
Okay.
we talked about this in the 1999 Bruce Wayne unmade pilot called Bruce Wayne, but the Iron Giant writer Tim McCanlies wrote a pilot to a show called Bruce Wayne that was basically written even before Smallville was created, in terms of a prequel centering around an 18-year-old Bruce Wayne who returns to Gotham from his travels but spends years in his home city before donning the cape and cowl, which, if you think about it, actually does kind of make a lot more sense compared to the other versions where it's just like, Bruce Wayne is back. Also, there's this weird Batman around. So
No connection.
No coincidence whatsoever.
maybe they were onto something. Through the
It's
story,
true.
Bruce finds himself in a rivalry with Wayne Corp executive Charles Palantine, named after the politician Charles Palantine in Taxi Driver, which is why he has a picture here for anybody who was wondering why the hell this guy's in this picture. Alfred believes that Charles Palantine is trying to kill Bruce before his 18th birthday in the pilot so that he can have the company to himself, and shares his own suspicions that Wayne Corp and Palantine were behind the deaths of Thomas and Martha Wayne. While the pilot was never produced, the concept of exploring a young Bruce Wayne, as well as suspecting the Wayne Enterprises board of being behind the murder, all this stuff is fully realized in the Fox show Gotham, set over a decade later, where this other pick of the Wayne board is from. So that's when the Wayne Enterprises execs were the likely suspects. Let's go into possibly the least likely suspect, Metallo.
What?
Yep. So,
Oh my god. Okay.
in 2003,
Sure.
Jeff Loeb's first story arc for Superman Batman Public Enemies. This is not in the Superman Batman Public Enemies movie, but in the comic, with art by Ed McGuinness and inks by Dexter Vines, Batman finds evidence that links the Wayne murders to a criminal named John Corbin before he became the Superman villain Metallo. He finds out that Corbin was in Gotham during the time of his parents' deaths, and that he used to carry the same kind of gun that killed them. So, he starts suspecting that Metallo killed his parents. Later, of course, we discover that this is not true. The evidence was faked by President Lex Luthor as a part of a trap for Batman. But could you imagine just how much of a mindfuck that would be? It's just like, you've been looking in the wrong city all along, Batman. He's been in Metropolis.
I kind of remember that from reading the comic now that you mention it. But Lex Luthor's plan to make Batman fight in that one is a little bit simpler than PP Jar Lex's in Batman vs Superman.
It's very true.
Most things
Very
are.
true. One thing I do love about the storyline, though, is this detail that Jeff Loeb adds. So you can see in the video version, the beginning of the Superman Batman arc shows a flashback of the killer's face hidden in the shadows, thanks to that sort of newsboy hat that he wears in a lot of different interpretations. Batman says in the text that Bruce was inspired to use the shadows just like the killer used the shadows to hide his face. So he uses the shadows against the criminal element, just like the killer used to. And that's why I always love this idea, and also why I prefer the killer to sort of have the newsboy hat that you see in the comics, but you never really see in the live-action versions. So
That's a very interesting
Yeah.
little addition to the story. It's not just let's do some ninja shit. He has this emotional attachment to the shadows.
Yeah. Yeah. So much of the what he becomes is based around this moment in his life that he can never stop replaying. So of course there would be certain elements that Batman sort of exists as a response to, I think. And so I really love the idea of, he says, quote, "I cloak myself in the very shadows the gunman used to hide his face from me." And that very sentence, when I first read it, I was just like, I love that. I just hands down, I love that. That to me, that's canon.
Poetry.
So, yeah. So
Put it in the Bible.
yes. The next suspect is, I know, one of Andrew's favorites, the Court of Owls.
Oh hell yeah! It's better than
Yes.
Hush.
Yes, it is.
I will concede that now, actually.
I gotcha. But I do believe it.
Yes. No, I also believe that too. Anyway, this storyline revealed that a young Bruce Wayne had heard about the Court of Owls as a kid and attempted to investigate them in connection to his parents' murders. His search led to a dead end, however, and nearly got him killed when he found himself trapped in a place called Harbor House. We dove into the Court of Owls recently in our Patreon, where we discussed Batman vs. Robin and compared it to the Court of Owls arc in the comics. So check that out if you're not already part of the $5 tier. But anyway, let's go into the next suspect, the Penguin. Though specifically the Penguin in Batman Earth 1, written by Jeff Johns, pencils by Gary Frank, inks by Jonathan Seibel, colors by Brad Anderson, and letters by Bob Lee. This one added
This penguin looks
more
like
to
he
it.
might not. He might have consensual sex. The other ones, I'm not sure.
Hey, people have all kinds of fetishes. And
That's true.
You
Also
never
the
know.
mayor in this. He's also in a position of power in this compared to the traditional version where he's kind of more of an outcast criminal or mob boss in this. So
This one's got fingers.
yeah, that too, as opposed to the,
I don't see
the
any
French
flippers.
flip trip.
The
Yes.
French flipper, man. Oh,
So,
man.
like the unmade Tom Mankiewicz Batman script that we covered in our most popular episode, the Batman script from 1982, Thomas Wayne is running for public office years ago. And like in Todd Phillips' Joker film, he's running for mayor. And around the time of his death, his political rival is none other than Oswald Cobblepot himself. So, in the Jeff Johns version of the murder, they go to the Mark of Zorro as usual. However, a random electrical outage prevents the movie from ever being shown. So Bruce does not actually end up getting to see the movie, just to make his night even worse. At least in the other versions, he got to see the movie and then his parents get killed. In this one, he doesn't even get to see it. So young Bruce rushes out to the back exit so he can get to another theater to see the same movie, and there he runs into this random man in a hoodie who's like, "Watch where you're going." And Bruce is just like, I'm the son of some of the richest people in Gotham. And the guy stops and he turns and he's like, "You're the Wayne kid." And he sees an opportunity. And he grabs Bruce, taking him hostage as Thomas and Martha come out, and we get the standard scene where he ends up shooting both of them and taking Martha's pearl necklace. So years later, Bruce suspects that this was a hired hit, that the man in the alley was a hitman, and so he suspects that Oswald Cobblepot, now the mayor, was behind it. In his confrontation with Penguin, Cobblepot reveals that he wanted to kill the Waynes and even had a corrupt cop on his payroll cut the power to the theater, which is why there was an outage in the first place. However, since Bruce had his parents leave through a different exit, Cobblepot's men could not get to them, and the real killer did. So, it wasn't him. Now, to the last suspect who turned out to be innocent. Here's another wild one. Poison Ivy's dad. So, in 2014's Gotham, the pilot, the Waynes are killed in the pilot, and the GCPD's first suspect is Mario Pepper, father of future Poison Ivy in the show. During a chase scene, Harvey Bullock shoots and kills Mario to save Gordon's life, but Gordon later finds out that Mario was actually set up by mob boss Carmine Falcone. Falcone deliberately framed Mario so that a killer would be caught, because the Waynes are these famous well-to-do people, and Falcone wanted to give off the impression to the city that the cops are doing their jobs. Falcone cares because, to him, organized crime can't exist without law and order. Otherwise, there'll be chaos, which is exactly what's going to happen to the city in a few years. But anyway, that was when Poison Ivy's dad was a possible suspect. So, to recap, we had Zodiac Killer, Wayne Enterprises, Metallo, the Court of Owls, the Penguin, and Poison Ivy's dad. But let's go into the real culprit, who we're all here to talk about, Joe Chill. Almost 10 years after co-creating Batman, Bill Finger returned to the origin in a story literally called The Origin of Batman in Batman number 47 in 1948, and expanded on this further with pencils by Bob Kane, inks by Charles Paris, and letters by Ira Schnapp. And this is very interesting. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on this. It says that Joe Chill shot Thomas Wayne, and that's it. It says, quote, "That single bullet really killed 2 people, for Martha Wayne's weak heart stopped from the sudden shock." So
I've read this.
he did not actually shoot Martha in this version.
This
Also from Bill
sounds-
Finger.
I mean, is this post the time whenever Joe Shuster died, or was it Siegel? I always forget. From the supermarket.
I mean, I would think so,
robbery.
because this is well after Superman. Batman
I
in
mean,
general is after Superman.
Everybody in DC's in the know about that, so
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, I think that could be it.
Could also be like a comics code thing, where they're just like, we don't want to see women get shot in the comics. So they're just like, all right, well, she still needs to die in the backstory. So what if she died this way instead of like getting violently gunned down? So maybe that's what it was.
What?
Health-wise, also, generally men are the ones who die from a heart attack. So that sticks out to me a little bit. But I don't think it's not bad. It's fine.
No.
What
It's just an
year did
interesting
this come
addition.
out?
1948.
Okay, that's before the Comics Code Authority
That's true.
kind of ruined things. So I'm not sure if that's the reason why. Maybe it was just.
But
a
it could
choice.
also, it just could be editing choice, because even before Comics Code Authority, there was still that mandate in 1940 or so, where they're just like, Batman can't kill people anymore.
Yeah,
You have to have them denounce that.
It may have been like a choice in taste. I do think that it's not as good as Joe Chill actually shooting her as well.
Right.
I think it's important that like both of his parents are killed by this
Right.
act of violence, rather than like the Martha like seeing it and the strain on her heart and all this stuff. That's
Yeah.
kind of takes away from it a little bit.
I agree. And we also get the addition of this scene of the aftermath, where Bruce stares and glares at Joe Chill with sort of these haunting, accusing eyes that will stick with Joe Chill for the rest of his life. So this is also the introduction in general to Joe Chill. There had never been any identification of the Wayne killer until this issue in 1948. So in the present day storyline, Batman and Robin later end up finding out about Chill, and Batman recognizes him and eventually confronts him and reveals his true identity as Bruce Wayne in order for Chill to realize that he created the Batman. So Chill then goes off and does something stupid. He goes off and he basically confesses to everyone, hey, I created Batman. And they're just like, you created the guy who locked all of us up? So they turn on him and shoot him to death. So
Yeah, that's in one of the animated movies, right?
It's actually in Batman Brave and the Bold, Andrew.
Is it? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen that
It's
episode.
a fantastic one, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Chill of the Night, written by Paul Dini in Batman the Brave and the Bold, though it replaces these random criminals with the actual Rogues Gallery. which I think is
Supervillains,
even
yeah.
better. And the one who actually does kill Joe Chill is not any of the supervillains, but probably, as implied, the Spectre. So I think this is an interesting way out, because Bill Finger's like, we can't have Batman kill the guy who killed his parents, but we got to have some closure somehow. So he decided he gets his just desserts from the bullets of other criminals, where it's like,
That's
it's
way
okay.
more interesting too.
Yeah, that's it. Than Batman
I
killing
mean,
him. Yeah.
You think you have an expectation that Batman might do something or whatever, and then this happens. It just kind of throws you for a loop, but at the same time makes total sense. So
Yeah.
this is a good one. This is
Yeah.
writers trying to tackle the hurdles that they have. I think is what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The limitations.
It is a classic story, one of my favorites in terms of like the old school Golden Age, Silver Age type things. So this is Bill Finger expanding on the origin, and it turns out he wasn't done. Let's go to 1956. So 1956, Bill Finger is back in an issue called The First Batman, Detective Comics 235,
Yep.
art by Sheldon Moldoff and inks by Stan K. It's called The First Batman because the first Batman is Thomas Wayne. So Thomas
Man,
Wayne,
that's some Flashpoint stuff, man.
The coloring, too, makes him look like he's nearly naked. It doesn't look gray. For those
That might be-
listening,
Yeah.
why are you shying away, son?
Explain it,
I'm just
Zach.
I'm just
So
wearing a
for-
trunks.
yeah, for those people listening, it's I guess the dot coloration. It doesn't make Thomas Wayne's bodysuit look gray. He looks like he is standing there with swim trunks on, a utility belt, giant wings protruding from his back, and a kind of like Wolverine-ish domino mask.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of based off of, I think, the original 1939 Batman costume.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, he's called the first Batman because he wore a bat suit to a party once. But it's more than that. At that party, mobsters actually showed up and took him because they needed a doctor to operate on their boss, Lou Moxon. This criminal named Lou Moxon, notorious criminal, they needed somebody to treat him. So Thomas treats the wound but knows that they're not going to let him out alive. So he, in a bat suit, fights off the criminals and later testifies against Moxon, making him the first Batman, of course. Here, Chill is retconned to be named Joey Chill, and as a hired gun working for
Nope.
Moxon. As a hitman.
Joe
So-
is better.
Chill is also, as we can see in the video version of this, Chill is murdered by the mob before Batman can even get to him, which sort of retcons Batman number 47. We would end up seeing combinations of Batman 47 in this story in the Untold Legend of the Batman, as well as the Chill of the Night episode we were talking about earlier. But it's also explained that in this version, since Joe Chill was a hitman, he deliberately left Bruce Wayne alive so that Bruce could testify that this was a random mugging and not a hit on the family orchestrated by Lou Moxon. This explains why Chill doesn't shoot Bruce in any of the versions. You know, he kills Thomas and Martha. Why doesn't he kill the kid? Now, maybe some of that is due to you just don't kill kids.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
against his own
what I
code.
always. That's how I've always taken it.
But
Yeah.
in this version, it's a deliberate choice. It's a strategy. So anyway, in the present day, Bruce's main Batman costume gets destroyed in a fight with Moxon's men, so he dresses up in his father's Batman costume to visit Lou Moxon. Lou Moxon sees him and believes that the ghost of Thomas Wayne has come back to haunt him, and terrified, he flees and runs straight into a truck that runs him over. So
Oh, man.
that's the
I
end
love
of him. Lou Moxon would return later on in different versions. He'd return in post-crisis continuity as a potential suspect to the Wayne murders, and they added a whole thing where his daughter was a childhood friend of Bruce's. So that's interesting, but we're not going to get too much into that.
Do you think before he got hit by the truck, he said, "I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you"? And they just wham, just runs him over.
He does say, "Moxon, look out for that truck" in the actual
That's
comic,
true.
but maybe was just that's just lip service. He's just standing behind, being like, that truck, so in case anybody sees that I'm trying to save you, but I'm really not. I'm just standing back here.
I was just thinking, Andrew, by your logic, Joe Chill should be the first Mr. Freeze. With a last name like Chill, I feel like...
oh, yes, that's true.
It's fate for him.
Yes.
It's interesting they chose Chills just because he's a chilling murderer
I guess,
kind of thing. That's his mob name. But do they pass it off like that's his real name in the
It depends on the version. It depends on the version, yeah. But for now, he's just Joe Chill.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're still in Golden Age when Joe Chill comes up.
Though we are going to skip forward to the 80s in kind of a mindfuck of a story where Batman teams up with Joe Chill and starts using guns. So,
great.
1987. You've read this one, right?
Favorite, dude.
Yeah, I've got the trade paperback of Year 2.
Yeah, same here. So this is Batman Year 2, not Year 1, but Year 2, not by Frank Miller, but by Mike Barr. And Mike Barr does this.
Year 1 was absolute hell. I need to make it easier with this pistol.
Why wasn't I doing this earlier?
Fuck not using a gun. This is fucking way easier.
Don't have to worry about them breaking out of Arkham this way.
I'll put. Yeah.
It's hard to break out of a morgue. Ha ha.
Just one to the head and they're done. Sweet, sweet justice.
So, Mike Barr writes this, art by Alan Davis and Todd McFarlane, inks by Paul Neary and Alfred Alcala. But in this version of the origin, Joe Chill actually left his gun behind after he killed Thomas and Martha Wayne and tossed it in the bushes. Young Bruce later went back to the scene of the crime, retrieved it, and has kept it in his house for many years until he decides to use it when the villain of Year 2, the Reaper, who's this vigilante who kills people, ends up showing up. So Bruce decides to level the playing field with a gun, but is using it non-lethally in Year 2.
Just shooting their kneecaps out.
he's like shooting their guns and shooting like ropes and stuff. So he's not actually like shooting people, or he like shoots like a guy's cigar out of his mouth and that type of stuff. So it's still very much the Batman we know with firearms. And he decides in order to take down the Reaper, he has to team up with the enemy, who are all these criminals. And they're like, all right, we'll pair you up with our best guy, Joe. Come over here. And it's their top hitman, Joe Chill.
That's right.
So he doesn't know at this time.
Well, Batman recognizes him immediately, as you can see in this panel that I'm showing in the video version. So Batman begrudgingly teams up with Joe Chill in order to stop the Reaper, and then later on confronts Chill about the murder, putting the gun to his head and confronting him, doing the whole sort of thing about like, I'm really Bruce Wayne and that stuff, but actually planning to kill him with the gun until the Reaper beats him to it and shoots Chill to death instead, robbing Bruce of his revenge. So it seems like Bruce would have done it because he flat out puts the gun right up to Chill's forehead, as we can see in the panel, but we don't know for sure. This is somewhat of a controversial run because of that aspect of Batman using guns again, and the Reaper is supposed to be another Gotham vigilante who was around before Batman, and I think a lot of people just didn't like that, so that basically got retconned and thrown out of continuity.
Do you think the Reaper was like an inspiration for Phantasm?
That's what people say, but I haven't really found anything from Bruce Timm and their team about whether or not it was, because it's just like I think there's the element of the Grim Reaper type imagery, plus and then you've got the whole love storyline with the daughter, that type of stuff. So like I see it, but also I'm like it could just be a coincidence. It could just be that they wanted to do their own thing. It just happened that it has these same elements to it. I haven't found any confirmation though where they said that. So, for the time being, it looks like it's Joe Chill until it's not. 1994. One of comics' biggest changes. DC releases Zero Hour, an event that affects all the DC characters, and Detective Comics 678 by Chuck Dixon, pencils by Graham Nolan, inks by Bob McLeod, colors by Adrian Roy, and letters by John Costanza. In this issue, Batman has the opportunity to visit the time around his parents' murder, back in time, and visits Joe Chill, only to find that Joe Chill is drugged and high the whole time that the Waynes are killed, making it very unlikely that he was the one who pulled the trigger. They decided to do something a little different post-crisis in the 90s. They decided that in Batman number 0, that, quote, the killer would become a symbol of the faceless crime lurking in every shadow, striking without warning, snuffing lives precious only to those whose futures are shattered by the loss. So that's by Doug Mensch. But Batman number 0 sort of reveals that the killer is never identified. It's not Joe Chill. All of Joe Chill is now retconned. The idea is that it's an unsolved crime. Batman's never able to solve it, and so whenever he goes out, he associates the man who killed his parents with all the criminals that are out there. And so this faceless criminal represents all of evil, all of crime, all of Gotham's worst. And so that's what
I
gives
think
him the
there's
motivation.
there's some worth to this take. I think a lot of silly things happened in the 90s with comics, as we've talked about before, but this I could see it kind of like not having any closure for Batman is good drama also, right?
It is, yeah. For me personally, I think that if I have one issue with it, it's that the world's greatest detective never tries to investigate this murder himself. He kind of just gives up. Like they say that they never find him, but there wasn't really a story of Batman in this continuity actively trying to solve his parents' murder, which seems
maybe he's
very
addicted to
unlikely.
being Batman. He's addicted to being Batman, and then doesn't, on some deep level, doesn't want to solve it because he thinks that if he solves it, he'll stop being Batman anymore. So it's the addiction to the cowl that maybe delays that. For this depends on the run too, obviously, but maybe that's the way one could think about this.
So Ben,
Potentially.
when he is seeing Joe Chill at the time of his parents' death, is this like Batman actually traveling back through time, or is it kind of like a Christmas Carol thing where he just sees him?
I mean, it's
but he
0
can't
hour,
interact?
so I think it's kind of like I don't think he can really interact with it. I don't think he's.
Did he choose that moment? Did he choose to visit Joe Chill in that moment?
I believe he does.
He
in
should have
0
just
hour.
visited the murder scene.
I don't think he wants to see that. I think
he sees
it
it anyways.
in his
Every
dreams, yes.
scarecrow attack and nightmare, but yeah, I feel like
Might as well.
he should just know for sure, like, who was it?
Yeah.
There was there was one run, I think it was maybe a New 52, but I can't remember, where he's told that it's just there was no rhyme or reason for
Right,
it.
yeah.
It was just a random killer. You can still be Batman and everything, but crime. This is just random crime. There was no real motive other than maybe to get the pearls, but
Right.
like there was it wasn't a mob pit or nothing like that. It was just petty crime, really, and
Yeah.
that's what causes the Batman. So there's the logical part, the detective part of Batman that wants to he probably was thinking, at least in this run, that there was probably more to it than there really was.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a revelation to him that it's just a random act of violence.
Yeah, because we already in the 90s have so many different variations, and this is just Joe Chill, right? We have Joe Chill working on his own. We got him being a hitman for Lou Moxon. We have Joe Chill not even being the gunman, and now we have this whole unidentified gunman thing. So it really comes down to, like, what are your preferences and who's writing this? But this is an extremely popular interpretation that there is no Joe Chill. Bruce's parents' killer is never found, and I just want to point out, though, that this only lasts about 12 years in Batman's history. Yet it makes such an impact. But for a majority of the time, it's still Joe Chill. Which means that Joe Chill is about to make a comeback in what we're going to cover. So, here we
right.
go. He makes a comeback in 2004's DCAU comics. Now, This is the tie-in comic Batman Adventures, written by Ty Templeton, in a story called Fear Itself. It's the final issue, Batman Adventures number 17, with pencils by Rick Burchett and inks by Terry Betty. And it starts with the standard someone being haunted by the deaths of the Waynes, except the person waking up isn't Bruce Wayne. It's Joe Chill. And he's haunted by guilt of what he did years ago. So this is the beginning of a more sympathetic interpretation of Joe Chill, who's haunted by the murders he committed. This Chill is convinced that Bruce Wayne, who, in present day is one of the most powerful men in the world, Bruce Wayne is going to plan to get back at him, and he lives in constant fear of that revenge. And he soon learns that there's new evidence arrives that could point to solving the Wayne murder case, and he's like, I can't have that. So he tries to kill the detective who's investigating it, only for Batman to show up. So Batman fights Joe Chill, not knowing who the hell he is. And during the fight, Batman's mask comes off, and Chill sees that it's Bruce Wayne. Terrified that it's Bruce, Chill falls back and falls off the balcony. Batman tries to save him, but Chill refuses to be saved and ends up falling to his death, leaving Batman to wonder what was up with that guy and why did he refuse to be saved, never knowing that was the man who killed his parents, who basically killed his parents. So,
oh man,
I
really
have all these comics, and I totally forgot about that issue.
But you did read it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's fantastic. I really like this interpretation as well. There's so many good ones too. It's hard to pick one. Like if you told me like, what's your preference, Ben? I'm just like, I don't know. Like there's so many like great stories, because this is good, but so is like the Chill of the Night version of the Bill Finger stuff. So I'm like, I could go with any of them. So this is 2004. A year later, we get Batman Begins, where Joe Chill makes his cinematic debut, thanks to David Goyer and Chris Nolan. Here, they change up the whole Wayne murders, as we talked about in our Batman Begins deep dive. So the Waynes don't go to the movies, they go to the opera to see Mephistopheles. But because there are bat-like creatures in Mephistopheles, and Bruce just fell into the cave, he feels afraid, so he asks Thomas if they can leave early. Thomas Wayne agrees, and they all walk out through the side exit early, which is probably the most organic explanation to how the Waynes ever arrive in the alley in these versions. So good on Nolan and Goyer for that one. Here, a very nervous Joe Chill, played by Richard Brake, robs and kills Thomas and Martha Wayne, and young Bruce is later comforted by young Jim Gordon, only to be informed by Loeb that the GCPD has caught Joe Chill. Now, this is the first time in Batman history that the Wayne's killer is actually caught on the night of the murder, or even before Bruce becomes Batman. This is a huge change that basically nobody really talks about. It's a huge change from Bill Finger's words in the origin. The killer was never caught. That's why Bruce was motivated to do this. However, obviously, they take it into a different direction to make Bruce into Batman, because in this version, Chill is a more sympathetic man who is desperate for money and tries to get early parole years later by testifying against Carmine Falcone. Bruce arrives with a gun to try to kill him in revenge, but like we saw in other versions, he is beaten to the kill by another assassin. So it's this incident that then leads the Christian Bale Bruce to become Batman. So DC Comics thought this was a good idea. Let's put it in the comics. So this showed up in a very small part of Infinite Crisis number 6, written by Jeff Johns, with a whole all-star cast of pencilers, inkers, colorists, and letterers. But it follows suit from Batman Begins, because at one point the multiverse is affected by stuff, and it now shows, it might be hard to see on the video even, but on one of the shards we see a young Bruce being comforted by Alfred, and in the foreground is a headline that mentions Joe Chill's name, which implies that Joe Chill was caught on the night of the murders or sometime afterwards, which then retcons the whole, unsolved mystery, unknown killer after only 12 years of continuity. So that is now, Joe Chill is back, and the person...
this Batman Begins idea,
yeah,
you think that the motivation is that I wasn't able to get revenge, so now I'll transfer that energy into getting justice every night, basically.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think I don't know about the Infinite Crisis version, what they plan to do after this, but at least in Begins, it was shown to be a little bit more complex than that. Of course, with what Katie Holmes was telling him about how it's more than it's what created Joe Chill. You go after what created Joe Chill. You don't go after Joe Chill. That type of thing.
Those scenes were so. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah.
Those scenes were so emotional, I thought. him holding the gun and him, like Christian Bale's acting in those scenes were
You can see it in
really
his
great.
eyes.
Really great, yeah.
The fury in his eyes when he's about to go in, and you basically know that he would have done it. Like he would have done
Yeah.
it if he was
Yeah,
not being
definitely.
punched. Yeah.
Definitely.
But it is down to Grant Morrison to tell us what happens. So,
That old bald wizard.
Batman number 673 in a story called Joe Chill in Hell. Tony Daniel does the pencils, Jonathan Glampian and Sandu Floria are the inkers, but here Batman is basically held hostage and flashes back to early days when he's dressed in his 1939 costume, and his younger self is continually haunting Joe Chill over a long period of time. We meet Joe and find out that in this version, Chill says that he left young Bruce alive because Bruce reminded him of his son, so he couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger. So that's an interesting addition. One night, Batman confronts Chill for the last time and makes him confess more to the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Morrison then references the Bill Finger retcon with Martha's heart attack from Batman number 47, now saying that Martha Wayne could have survived her gunshot wound, but her weak heart led her to bled to death. So Morrison's merging stuff here in a very skillful way, I think. Batman, like in Year 2, still has the gun that Chill used for the murder and returns the gun to him. In that moment, Chill realizes that Batman is Bruce Wayne and that he's the one responsible for the birth of
That's
Batman.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman then leaves him and Chill takes the gun, and in the next panel, we overhear the gunshot as Chill kills himself. Now,
That's an awesome fucking artwork right here.
Yeah.
yes, Tony Daniel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, thing is, Batman is kind of hallucinating during this time of the issue, so it's a little ambiguous. Some people say this is a flashback and say, man, Batman flat out let Joe Chill kill himself. Or they say it's a fantasy that Batman's going through in that issue. It's not really solidified. Either way.
I think Grant Morrison's really the type to revel in ambiguity.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He loves it. He's like, yo, you wanted a straight answer? That's not from me. You're not going to get it from me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is what happens in post-crisis continuity. But let's talk about the new 52. Because, Andrew, you were referencing this earlier, but
Okay,
Greg
yeah.
Hurwitz did a different take on it in Batman The Dark Knight number 0. That sort of combines a few of the versions that we've talked about, penciled by Juan Jose Rip and Miko Swayan, inks by Vicente Cifuentes, and colors by Sonia Obach, and letters by Patrick Brosal. But like in Batman Begins, young Bruce Wayne knows that Chill killed his parents and seeks to confront him with a gun. This time, however, Bruce confronts him and interrogates him, asking him who sent him to carry out the hit. And to his surprise, Joe Chill tells him, nobody. He didn't even know who the Waynes were. He was acting on his own accord. All he wanted was money. And he didn't even know who the Waynes were until after he committed the crime. Bruce is basically in disbelief that this isn't some sort of conspiracy. This isn't some sort of assassination of his father. He's tempted to pull the trigger, but decides that's not what his father would have wanted. And he ends up walking out. And that's when he starts undergoing his training to become a vigilante. I think this, personally, is my favorite update to the Joe Chill story, because Bruce is confronting Joe Chill before he becomes Batman, getting that out of the way and making him move beyond his quest for vengeance, as opposed to when he's already Batman. I'm kind of just like, well, you didn't try to investigate earlier, Bruce.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of a small hole in there, but I like that he isn't able to get revenge, and he has that realization that I don't go after Joe Chill. I go over what created Joe Chill. And I have to become something more than just a guy with a gun trying to kill another guy, like Joe Chill. So that is a really good addition, in my opinion, to the canon. And this does get incorporated in live action in the second season of the show Gotham. Now, in the Gotham version, the killer, unlike other versions, is in a ski mask, as seen here, played by Danny Schoch, I think is the pronunciation. But much like the Bruce Wayne pilot, Bruce suspects that the executives at his father's companies were behind his parents' deaths. And the show later reveals that it is one of the suspects that we talked about earlier, the Court of Owls. So, Professor Hugo Strange in the show works for Wayne Enterprises and is performing experiments in Arkham Asylum on behalf of the Court of Owls. Thomas Wayne found out about them, and Strange, in order to protect the secret as well as fulfill his promise to the Court of Owls, has Thomas and Martha killed. So Hugo Strange kind of plays out the Lou Boxon role in Gotham. The gunman's name, however, is not known, and so later Bruce ends up interrogating a young Silver St. Cloud, who's evil in this continuity. But anyway, evil Silver gives up the name, which is Malone. First initial M. And Bruce and Alfred... Bruce and Alfred find that it's a man named Patrick Malone, aka Matches Malone, called that due to him killing people by, of course, setting them on fire. This is a major change in canon because Matches Malone, for those who don't know, is often the disguise that Batman takes on in the comics. So it's a little weird that they went with this instead of Joe Chill. I was hoping maybe they were going to do a twist where Matches Malone is actually innocent and teams up with Bruce to find the real killer, and then Bruce befriends Matches Malone, and that's why he takes on the disguise of Matches Malone later, but that didn't turn out to be the case. Instead, they introduced this guy, played by Michael Bowen, who Breaking Bad fans might recognize as one of the main villains from that show. But Malone here might as well be Joe Chill, which is why I'm including him in the Joe Chill section. Bruce gets a gun and tracks down Malone in one of the best episodes of the show called This Ball of Mud and Meanness, written by John Baring. Malone, however, is not a monster, but a washed-up drunk with a death wish, and even begs Bruce to shoot him, saying, "You should kill me, I'm a monster." And Bruce he basically can't will himself to do it, and he says, "I wish you were a monster, but you're just a man." And he drops the gun, and he runs off, only for Malone to use the gun that Bruce dropped and use it to kill himself, kind of incorporating that Grant Morrison issue that we talked about. So it's a wonderful adaptation, in my opinion, of a lot of the newer updates to the Joe Chill storyline that we just talked about. And of course, Malone's suicide causes Bruce to abandon the vengeance, leave Wayne Manor, and begin living in the streets of Gotham to learn more about his city. And so that is another version of it. But then we start getting people criticizing how many times we've seen this goddamn origin when we get to Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice.
This is when people really started to complain.
Yes.
Was right here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We see here that Joe Chill is played by Damon Caro, who was also second unit director on the movie, but even though he is not credited as Joe Chill, Damon Caro said in an interview, "I was Joe Chill," and the studio wouldn't let him be credited. The studio apparently wouldn't let him be credited as Joe Chill.
You don't get that many royalties.
I guess so.
Sorry.
Yes. So even though Joe Chill's never mentioned by name, he's not in the credits, it is meant to be Joe Chill. I believe Snyder refers to him as Joe Chill, and there was even an Amazon Echo promotional tie-in game for the film called The Wayne Investigation. Yes, I played it on my Alexa. And lo and behold, the murderer turns out to be, once again, Joe Chill. So
you do play some video games. They just happen to be Amazon Echo games.
It's not even a video game. It's an audio game. It's just like, Alexa, I choose this.
An audio game. Interesting.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the last instance of Joe Chill that twists canon a lot is the Telltale series in 2016. Here, Thomas Wayne is a mob boss alongside Carmine Falcone and Mayor Hill. Mayor Hill orders Joe Chill to kill Thomas and Martha Wayne, and when Wayne is confronted by Joe Chill, he assumes that it's Falcone, and when Chill shoots him the first time, he says, "Tell Falcone he's making a mistake," which are his last words before Chill shoots him in the eye, as we see here. It's one of the more violent versions of the origin here. Joe Chill is later said to be killed in prison by other prisoners, probably hired by Mayor Hill or Falcone in that case. But this is the many different takes on Joe Chill, and we will tackle the Joker. But first, we're going to tackle Joe Chill's family, coming soon after the break.
Here at Chat of the Wild, our Game Club podcast, we have been using our lens of truth to do deep dives on the Legend of Zelda series, in order, covering 1 to 2 dungeons each episode. Our show also looks at Zelda-likes, such as Crusader of Senti, Golden Axe Warrior, and the bizarre journey of For the Frog, The Bell Tolls. Join us right now as we play Ari and the Secret of Seasons, our first new release since Season 1, or check out our past seasons breaking down nearly 20 action-adventure titles. New episodes drop every Wednesday, here on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with BarkBox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right, one free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the BarkBox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you. I gathered you all here today because, to be honest, I feel a little bad about the fact that I'm responsible for 90% of your creations in my rogues gallery.
Hallelujah, you finally admitted it, Guano Man.
Well, I personally, Clayface, cannot wait to be reborn again so that I might once again see the stage without having to transform all the time.
Yes, so I recently defeated Ra's al Ghul, and as Clayface just found out, I'm using the Lazarus Pit to restore you back to your normal selves. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. It would have saved Gotham and saved millions of lives, but we'll just go one by one in the line. So first up is Mr. Freeze. Step right up.
No, Batman, you couldn't do it whenever, we were in 1997, but maybe, you help me out now.
Yes, so just you and your wife just dunk yourselves into the pit, and we'll get you both cured.
All right, here we go. Hold your nose. Geronimo!
How do I look?
You might have been in there too long. You're a lot smaller than you were before.
Oh my goodness, my armor is not a size 6 anymore.
Also, your wife is now a baby.
Well, I guess you kinda saved the life, Can't complain too much, you're just a baby here.
Clayface, you're up next.
Getting a little weird at this point, but who am I to judge? This is wonderful! I shall become a child actor now.
Yeah, Roz never told me how long you guys should be in there, so this is kind of backfiring.
My favorite actor is Frankie Muniz, and I shall join amongst his ranks.
Out of all the actors, your favorite is Frankie Muniz?
Yes, Frankie is among the greatest of the stage.
Mr. B-Man, sir, is there anything in that old Lazarus Pit for your old Uncle Joker?
Well, yes, but first off, let me punch you a few times for old time's sake.
Can't say I blame you.
If you go in, Joker, you might come out sane.
Oh, wait, you didn't tell me that. No, let me go.
In you go.
No!
Why so serious? Oh, good lord. My digits are tiny and my head has grown twice as big.
Ha 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 ha, you'll never threaten Gotham again. This was genius.
Man, I'm Farmer Brown. I'm here to get myself younger than before, man. My dick don't work anymore, and I'm wanting to get that thing fucking fixed, boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to dunk on in. Get out of the way, Bass. I'm running towards this motherfucker.
That's for the physically deformed.
Man, that was refreshing as hell. Since I'm prepubescent, I'm gonna refrain from a few of these jokes that might have been. Thank you, Bats!
Oh, this weenie talk in these tiny little ears.
Okay, this plan was terrible.
Next time on HBO Max, Batman's Nursery. Check it. Same Bat Baby time, same Bat Baby channel.
Gotham babies, they'll make your dreams come true.
How many swizzle sticks do you have? How many swizzle sticks do you have? How many swizzle sticks do you have?
And we're back with Zack Attack and Andrew, and we're going to continue talking about Joe Chill. We're done talking about the man himself, but let's start talking about the man's family. So, are any of you guys familiar with Max Chill?
Never heard of him.
Max
The answer
Chill
is no, Ben.
is in Brave and the Bold number 79, written by Bob Haney with art by Neil Adams. Very early work of Neil Adams. His Batman in this issue is not quite the Batman that you know from him. but it looks a little closer in this one.
You laughing at his vulnerable position in this?
I'm laughing at
panel?
what Batman is thinking because I misread it at first.
So the panel is the panel that we're looking at is Max Chill confronting Batman, and Batman's thoughts are, quote, "It's Chill, and he does have a hook," or "I'm flipping my bird."
I'm flipping my bird over here.
Flipping the bird.
Now, here's the thing. This is not actually Batman. This is Deadman.
Oh shit!
Because,
Okay.
why he's
for those who
glowing.
can see it in the video, it's the you can see a bit of the highlight around the Bat costume.
Yeah.
Because Deadman has taken him over.
His
So
aura, bro.
for those who don't know, Deadman is a former Haley Circus acrobat. Yes, Haley Circus, the same circus as the Graysons. Former Haley Circus acrobat named Boston Brand, who was killed and cursed to live his life as a ghost, only able to fight crime by taking over people's bodies, like Batman's bodies. He was killed by a man with a hook hand, and his suspect in this story, in The Brave and the Bold number 79, is Max Chill, Joe Chill's brother, who also wants revenge on Batman for his role in Joe's death many issues ago in the Bill Finger version, where Joe was killed by other criminals.
So is there some desire from DC to really connect Deadman and Batman? You think?
I think it's just The Brave and the Bold, to me, sort of felt like a showcase of, here are our lesser-known superheroes, our B-list, C-list ones. Put them in a title with Batman so that people are just like, oh, I want to read more about Deadman. I want to read more about Green Arrow. And then now you can with, like, the comics. Like, it's a way in for you to basically know these newer characters, these ones who you aren't as familiar with.
Batman's the vehicle.
Yeah, Batman is the vehicle to get you to those characters.
Right. Okay.
So, anyway, Max Chill is innocent of killing Boston. It turns out that his hook hand is not even real. It's just a prosthetic thing that he wears. And
Just like wearing this hook.
yeah,
I have a hand.
it's just not very practical, but okay.
I just like hooking stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So Max is innocent of killing Boston Brand and ends up dying himself in a confrontation when a bunch of slot machines fall on him. So that's the end of Max Chill.
Do
But-
his eyes like flip like the slot machine?
When two
whenever he
lemons
dies?
come up. Ding,
No.
ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
But if they ever animated, I guess that's how they should do this. So
I think it would have been more fitting for him to fall off of something like most Batman villains do, catch his hook on a ledge, and then the hook comes off because it's not fucking real.
yeah,
That would have been his just desserts, hoisted
Yes.
by his own petard.
yes.
Indeed, is Zacatavius.
Hmm.
So that is Max Chill, but it's not the last time we hear from Max Chill or Joe Chill or Joe Chill's family. Because
Jack Chill's next.
Jack Chill is not next. Who wants to
Jill
meet
Chill.
Who wants to meet Joe Chill's mom?
Let's do
'Cause
it.
she's a character. Batman number
my.
208 in a story by E. Nilsson Bridwell with art by Jill Kane and Jake Abel. Joe Chill's real last name is Chilton. And we know this because his mom's name is Mrs. Chilton, and she is a caretaker. Specifically, was the caretaker of Bruce Wayne. So, in
It's
a
all connected,
cruel
man.
twist, Bruce, after the deaths of his parents, was taken in by his uncle Philip, because West Philadelphia, born and raised, was Bruce. But after that, Uncle Philip's caretaker, Mrs. Chilton, took care of him, not knowing that Mrs. Chilton is the mom to Joe Chill. Bruce doesn't know that about this connection. She doesn't know about this connection. Only we, as the audience, know about this connection because, fuck it, it's 1969. We got to do some sort of spicy tale in this. So, in the original continuity, I will note, Alfred did not enter Bruce's life until after Bruce and Dick Grayson were Batman and Robin. So, for those wondering, why is it Mrs. Chilton? Where's Alfred? That wasn't established yet. In 1969, Alfred, as of that continuity, he was a latecomer. He came in way after Robin. So Mrs. Chilton was established as the person who took care of Bruce when he was a boy. And again, she's aware that her sons have become criminals, both Joe and Max, but she's ignorant of the fact that Joe directly killed Bruce's parents. So that's who Joe Chill grew up with. Let's talk about Joe Chill's son. So, Year 2, as I talked about, was in the 80s, and Mike Barr was like, I really love the Reaper character. Let's do a sequel to Year 2. But it's not Year 3. It's called Full Circle. So Mike Barr writes this, art by Alan Davis again, inks by Mark Farmer, colors by Tom Ziuko, and letters by Todd Klein. And we meet Joe Chill's son, Joseph Jr., very creative, who reveals that he witnessed his father's death in year 2. However, he gets the facts wrong. He believes that Batman was the one who shot Joe Chill, not the Reaper. And he feels that the Reaper was trying to avenge his father. So Joseph Jr. takes on the Reaper mantle. He becomes the Reaper in full circle and teams up with his sister, Marcia, to get revenge on an older Batman who now has Dick Grayson / Robin by his side. He also takes the gun that killed the Waynes and uses it against Batman. And the dynamic duo fight him until they discover his identity and discover that he has a son named, you guessed it, Joey. He's Joseph Chilton III.
Joseph Chilton the Third.
So
Good Lord.
we have
No,
Joseph
that's
Jr.
original.
Batman's saying. Batman's saying "Good Lord" in this fucking
Good
panel. by the way.
Lord.
Good Lord. Yes.
Good Lord.
Yes, because the kid's like, my name is Joey Chill. And he's like, good Lord.
By the
Nobody
way, I
had any
thought
creativity.
my first thought when I saw the panel for Mrs. Chilton was that she would have like a Gone with the Wind kind of Southern accent. I had 2 sons, but they're grown now. It will be nice having a boy around again.
Yes. Poor Mrs. Chilton. So that is Joe Chill's son, Joe Chill's grandson. Who wants to meet Joe Chill's great-grandnephew?
Not me.
Jake Chill. Too bad, Andrew. We have Jake Chill. Jake Chill is a former security guard at Wayne.
I don't want to meet this guy. He
Wayne
fucking
Powers.
looks like he's taking a shit all the time.
He's
introduced
crying while he's
in-
doing it.
He does not eat any fiber. But Batman Beyond Unlimited Comics, issue number 5, written by Adam Beechin, with art by Norm Brayfogle, coloring by Andrew Elder, and letters by Salda Temofonte. Here's why Jake Chill is interesting. Jake Chill is the one who actually killed Warren McGinnis under the orders of Mr. Fix and Derek Powers, meaning that he is the one who turned Terry into becoming the new Batman. The Chill legacy lives on.
Wild.
Yes,
Okay.
so Jake Chill is racked with guilt, however, and decides to become a vigilante to help Batman in this. So that is Jake Chill. I think that is it for Joe Chill and the Chill family. I know you guys are going to sigh with relief on that. But
What about their dogs?
What was what was
Barkley
Jake
Chill
Chill's
Jr.?
vigilante name?
You'll get a kick out of this. It was Vigilante.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. So Jake Chill became Vigilante in the future, but anyway, that is the Chill family. That is the Joe Chill saga. Let's talk about
Batman
another
should have just killed Joe Chill's mom and dad, and then Joe Chill's after him, and it's a vicious
Alternate
cycle,
Earth,
bro.
yes. That's it with the Chill family. Let's talk about the guy in the thumbnail.
Oh shit!
Time to talk about the Joker. We're going to go
best
into
one.
the times. Yes, the times that Joker played a role in the deaths of the Waynes. You guys weren't expecting that, the listeners here. So let's start not with Batman '89, because it wasn't technically started with Tim Burton or with screenwriter Sam Hamm. It started with the Batman script from 1982, our most popular YouTube episode. And,
For your viewership.
thank you for your viewership. Please continue to sit back and relax as we recap one portion of this, which is the Wayne murders. So, 82 and 83, Warner Brothers starts developing this film that will become Batman 89. They pick screenwriter Tom Mankiewicz, who, of course, worked on the successful Superman movie, Superman 1 and 2, which we covered in our Superman deep dive. Here, the Waynes are leaving the movie theater from watching Audrey Hepburn in The Nuns story.
Why
In
the fuck are they
1950?
watching this shit?
I don't know. In 1960, yeah.
Full
so,
of action and adventure.
I guess Mankiewicz wanted to just pick a story, a movie from what would have been, 12 or 13 years earlier from
Shit's
where he was
boring,
writing.
bro.
So, have you seen it, The Nun story?
No, but it looks
I
bad.
don't want to either.
I don't know, it
After
might be
looking
alright.
at this
It might-
poster,
Afterwards, your parents will die. That's what happens.
A fucking story about a nun.
Bruce wanted to leave early because he got bored.
That's why they
That
died.
was the whole reason. Yeah.
So, we're
No
going to go
offense
into the
to
evolution.
Audrey Hepburn, or
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just I don't know. Maybe it's a fucking great movie. And we're a bunch of fucking chuckleheads about it. I don't
Let us
know.
know in the comments.
Yeah.
We'll go into the evolution of the different movies the Waynes saw before they died in the Patreon, because I've had to correct people believing that it was always Zorro. It was not. But anyway, Joe Chill still confronts the family outside, but he calls Thomas Doc. And Thomas asks, "How do you know I'm a doctor?" before Chill shoots him to death. Along
I
with
just
his
like
wife.
watching Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yes.
It's just something I do.
He should have just said that, but much like in Batman 47, Bruce glares at Chill, scaring him into running off. And where does he run off to? Well, he runs off to his boss, the Joker, who would have been played by John Lithgow, who is basically the main actor that Joe Dante, the director, had in mind when Joe Dante was attached to this. So this is the first time in movie development that Joker is involved with the murder. Go ahead.
Not to bring up the visuals again and again, but this here is a Photoshop.
This is a Photoshop of
Okay.
John
Yes.
Lithgow from Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Okay, and it's just for the listener. It's basically Lithgow and Joker makeup.
Yeah.
He does look
So-
demented with those teeth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I've never seen Buckaroo Banzai. Kevin Smith loves it. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's an older nerd classic. Well, old depending on what your age, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I do kind of want to check that movie out at some point.
Yeah. So this is who Joker would have been had they gone with that script. The Joker then kills Joe Chill of Joker Venom to tie up loose ends because he was the gunman. And in a later twist, we find out that he was doing all this on behalf of Rupert Thorne, Thomas Wayne's opponent in the race for becoming city councilman in the script. So that is the first draft version of what happens to Joe Chill. Mankiewicz, however, revises this into something that I think is a lot better in the second draft. So the Wayne murder plays out the same. Joker still pays off Joe Chill, but he does not kill him. Instead, Chill survives, and many years later, Bruce Wayne, on his first night as Batman, is a rookie. Hold on, here's Joe Chill under Joker Venom. But Bruce Wayne is a rookie who tracks down an older Chill and confronts him, revealing his true identity, and Chill recognizes who's under the mask. He recognizes the eyes, the look, the same look that boy gave him many years ago in that alley when he shot down Thomas and Martha Wayne, and he recognizes it, and he says, "It's you," before he has a fatal heart attack and dies. In a way, Batman gets his revenge on Chill in this version without directly murdering him. So this is another way to do it, which I really liked as well.
Do you think this would cause a guilt for Batman? Like if he hadn't have like threatened this old man, he'd probably still be alive.
Didn't kill him
Yeah,
directly.
Not directly. I mean, he's a murderer for sure.
Yes.
But I mean, this
Yeah.
is sort of an indirect way of killing, and they could maybe
Right.
address that in a later issue. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. But
Yeah.
Ben,
again-
in both of these scripts, is the
Yeah.
Joker already white with green hair
Yep.
and red lips?
he's already the
I don't
Joker
like that.
when Thomas and Martha Wayne are killed.
Yeah, I don't like that. I feel like, well, what's his origin then? Who
It's
made
mysterious.
him fall into the chemicals?
It's who said it was chemicals?
He just puts makeup on, man.
Maybe he was
I don't
a
know.
struggling comedian who thought that Thomas Wayne was his dad, and he just got really pissed off at the world and went on a talk show and blew someone's head off. So
That's
Maybe that's what
true.
just putting that out there for anybody who wants to turn that into an Oscar-winning movie. But anyway.
It won't happen.
Also important to note that Mankiewicz here decides to have Alfred Pennyworth take care of Bruce Wayne from childhood, which, as we talked about, was not actually what was going on in the comics at the time. It was Mrs. Chilton at that point, but obviously they weren't going to do that in the Mankiewicz draft. But anyway,
What's the woman in the 66 again?
Aunt Harriet.
Aunt Harriet, yeah.
Aunt Harriet. Yeah, but that was just the 66 show, right?
Actually, no, she was in the comics.
It was Aunt Agatha in the comics.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
she was taking care of him as a boy before Alfred comes along, right?
No, she's Dick Grayson's aunt.
Okay.
Yes.
So before Alfred, who's taking care of him as a boy?
Uncle Phil,
Uncle Phil is?
because West Philadelphia, born and raised. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay.
it's actually
He's
Uncle
in
Philip
the,
Wayne.
I
He's in
think
what?
isn't
Uncle-
Philip? Isn't he in Zero? What is
Yeah.
it? 0 Year?
0 Year,
Yeah.
they reimagine him as Martha's brother. He's Philip Kane, as opposed to
That's
the original
right.
where he's Thomas's brother, Philip Wayne. So
Mm-hmm.
they found another way to do that.
Okay.
Also, those
all right.
as the visual we're looking at, those are some simple ass headstones for like billionaires. Thomas and
Family
Martha
plot,
Wayne's
man.
headstones.
Bruce is like, I decided to go cheap. Go spend their
guess
money
so.
on crime fighting.
The basic tombstone shape for everybody.
So, again, we got this foreshadowing change of comic book canon. This image is from Galactic Guardians, the Superpowers team, the last iteration of Super Friends that adapted this, with Adam West being the one to recount the narration. And it was the first adaptation, the live action, not live action, the first adaptation in general of the Waynes getting killed. But let's go into another version. In 1985, Tim Burton co-wrote a treatment with his girlfriend Julie Hickson, in which the Waynes are walking back from not the movie theater and not from an opera, but from a costume party. Yes, this is back. Naked Thomas Wayne is back. It says that Thomas Wayne is dressed up as a bat, Martha is dressed up as a fairy, and Bruce is dressed up as a harlequin in this. But anyway, as they're walking on the street, an ice cream truck drives by, and a young Joker with the green hair, pale lips, and pale skin and red lips, opens fire on the couple and drives off, still playing music from the ice cream truck. The visual
Have we
is-
covered this? I feel like you've
Yeah.
told me this before, Ben.
It's
yeah,
in
okay.
our most popular episode, the Batman
Oh
script
yeah.
from 82.
Okay, I gotcha. I was like, this is very, very familiar, Ben.
Yes. So the visual here is Cameron Monaghan's Jeremiah in Gotham, who is basically the version of the Joker, when he tried to replicate the Wayne murders in front of Bruce, except with him as the gunman, where he's just like, well, I wasn't there for the most pivotal moment of your life, so I'm just going to recreate it for you so that I can insert myself into there. So this is probably this whole ice cream truck thing and Thomas Wayne dying in a bat suit. This is all probably the most surreal take on the murder that we've got. And also
You're
the
telling
first
me
time,
that Tim Burton wrote a script in which there were a lot of costumes.
Yes.
Just fucking everywhere.
yeah,
Wow.
Thomas
it's
Wayne
hard to
literally
believe.
dies in a bat suit in this version. So
You know what?
yeah.
He got the gumption and the gusto. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That Burton kid.
Yep. As I said, first time in years that Joe Chill is not the actual shooter and Joker is directly the gunman, which is what we would get again in '89. Pictured here, we have Hugo E. Blick, British actor who played the young Jack Napier and arguably looks even closer to the comic book Joker than Jack Nicholson did. In
Yeah.
the most controversial aspect of the movie of Batman '89, Tim Burton had the young Joker, before he fell into the chemicals, kill Bruce Wayne's parents. I'm sure, Zach, from your standpoint, he did it right because Joker had not been Joker yet. He does not have
That's
the
right.
green hair and red lips and pale skin. He's just a regular guy.
Totally
A bad guy,
acceptable.
but still. Yes. Tim Burton had this idea, as we saw in the treatment. Sam Hamm is credited on the script, but Hamm did not come up with this idea. In Hamm's original drafts, this is Joker and Batman are the same age. This does not happen. It was screenwriter Warren Scarron who had written on Beetlejuice, and Tim Burton had brought on to do script rewrites for '89. It was Warren Scarron who brought that idea to life in the final draft of the film. Producer Michael Uslan was very worried about this, so he asked Batman co-creator Bob Kane to see what he thought about Joker, and Bob Kane said that, quote, if the Joker had been created originally in 1939, that's who would have murdered the Waynes in the comic book. So
Surprise.
that's what Uslan says that Kane said in
That's
the
a great
Batman in the
idea.
50s. So
Yeah,
I
I
tell you
thought
what's
of
even
it.
better is this check in my pocket.
yes.
And I brought it my side.
Yes. In this interpretation, they went to see a movie called Footlight Frenzy, indicated by the poster of the film outside the theater. It's also the only interpretation where there is not one mugger, but two, which leads me to ask, who is this guy? Now,
Yeah.
the actor is Clyde Gatel. Some have interpreted him to be a younger Bob the Goon, because Bob, is his right-hand man, his number one guy throughout the movie. And at the end of the murder, he says, Jack, let's go. The end of the Batman origin, he says, Jack, let's go. And at the end of, not the end, but during the Joker origin at the chemical factory, Bob says, come on, let's go, Jack. Similar thing. So people have turned to that to say that, oh, it's probably just a young Bob the Goon. The actor Clyde Gatel is simply credited as Other Mugger. not credited with any other
Okay.
name. You would think, though, that if it was young Bob, wouldn't they have said it was young Bob? Michael Uslan says, quote, as a tip of the hat to hardcore Bat fans and to Joe Chill, the scene in the movie showed Jack and another man responsible for the killing. It was hoped that would satisfy the majority of generations of Bat maniacs. So I believe Uslan's intention is that this is Joe Chill, which means that this is Joe Chill's actual cinematic debut, not Batman Begins.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So Joe Chill's just witness to the murder.
he is the one who literally grabs the pearls, though, in this.
Okay, but the one that pulls the trigger is Jack,
It's Jack Napier, yeah.
Yeah.
Burton is the first to bring the death of the Waynes to live action and incorporates the imagery of the pearl necklace breaking from The Dark Knight Returns. Another thing that's interesting is that the setting of the crime is not at Park Row or in Crime Alley, but is on the intersection of Pearl and Phillips Street, as Vicky Vale discovers. Now, people might be like, well, this is bullshit. What about Crime Alley? Keep in mind, though, if we were to go back to the very first origin from Bill Finger, they are confronted in the middle of the street. Seemingly in the middle of the street. It does not say that it's an alley. Crime Alley did not get introduced until the 70s when Dennis O'Neil came in. So this is kind of staying more true to the original take, where it seemed like it was just randomly on the street at night. So that's another thing that they drew from the original comics. So
Well, I mean, it would make more sense in some sense that they would be walking on not that I hang out with billionaires all the time, but billionaires just walking down an alley. I don't know. It's just, I mean, I
Right.
guess you could write it to where it works, but I mean, walking down a street is much more likely
Yeah.
Right.
to their limo or whatever the fuck.
Right. So this is Jack Napier pulling the trigger, and people might think, well, that's it, right? We're done. Not quite. As we covered before, in an alternate Batman Returns, we could have gotten the reason why Jack Napier killed the Waynes. Sam Hamm's script Batman 2 revealed that the Waynes were part of the 5 families of Gotham, the 5 richest families of Gotham. And when Bruce talks to one of the members of the 5 families, he learns about the fact that each family possesses a Raven statue. When all 5 statues are brought together, it reveals the location of the treasure that their ancestors robbed and stole. Thomas Wayne, however, refused to take part in this, and so the rest of the families decided to hire Jack Napier to kill Thomas and Martha Wayne.
It reveals the location of Bohemian Grove in Northern California.
So, if you thought that was it, you're wrong as well, because we could have seen Joker kill the Waynes again in the unmade Batman musical.
Oh man, one of my favorite episodes we done did.
So, 1998, a Batman musical was announced from the late Jim Steinman, who passed away this past year.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. And
Did he die of COVID?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
It was going to be directed by Tim Burton himself on stage. Jack Napier / the Joker was still the killer of the Waynes in this. However, there was an additional twist. Not only does he create Batman, but he also creates Catwoman. Because in this version, a young Selina Kyle is actually a witness to the crime, which foreshadows what Gotham does by having Selina be the witness to the Wayne murders. It foreshadows Gotham by a good 16 years on this. So, watching the deaths would create a huge influence on Selina. Steinman writes that this murder basically influences her to grow up to become Catwoman, that she is, quote, mostly mentally scarred by realizing how easily things that are precious can be taken from you, such as Mrs. Wayne's pearl necklace being ripped from her throat. So Selina grows up craving precious jewels and obsessed with holding onto them. So both witnesses to the crime of the Wayne murders, horrific murder by the Joker, has mutated 2 little quote-unquote observers. Bruce became Batman, Selina became Catwoman. 2 little lost children have mutated through their own complex reactions to a numbing loss and, in fact, fall in love. So, and that was, of course, was going to be, it was going to be illustrated through the songs and stuff. But yeah.
I never even thought about the pearls, like if she's washing it, like the connection of Catwoman's, lust for pearls or whatever.
Yeah.
And the pearls on Martha Wayne. Yeah, that's interesting. I saw that episode of Gotham, and I didn't put that together when I saw it.
And I don't think they actually bring that side to life, because she's kind of already a thief before she ends up witnessing that, as opposed to this version where Steinman says that this sparks it. So
Okay.
who knew?
Yeah.
The guy who wrote "I Can Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That" he's going to come up with something so creative for Batman and Catwoman. But
He wrote
Yeah.
that for Meatloaf, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I thought Meatloaf wrote that. All right.
yeah. No, he just sang it.
Yeah.
All right, so that then leads us into a movie I was referencing earlier, Joker from 2019. In the film written by Todd Phillips and Scott Silver, inspired by Arthur Fleck's action as the Joker, riots break out in the streets of Gotham during the time that the Waynes are at the movies watching, from what looks from the posters, either Excalibur or Zorro the Gay Blade with George Hamilton. A man in a clown mask, who has been inspired by the Joker, follows the Waynes into an alley, and when he gets close to them, he echoes what Joker had said to Murray Frank before killing him, saying that, quote, "You get what you fucking deserve," and shoots both Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. It's probably one of the most R-rated takes since the gunman drops an F-bomb and blood gets on young Bruce's face. Here, Joker isn't directly connected, but his actions do inspire the gunman to kill the Waynes, and Bruce is scarred from seeing this man in a clown mask shoot down his parents. So,
Do we
that's
think
their
this is
interpretation.
Joe Chill?
I would say so, yeah. But it's not confirmed. But if it is, then Joe Chill is inspired by the Joker in the Joker continuity. So that's interesting. Now, as we can see, there's been some interesting connections between Joe Chill and Joker. We got Joe Chill being hired by the Joker in the Mankiewicz version. We got Joe Chill being possibly an accomplice in the 89 version. We got Joe Chill maybe being even inspired by the Joker in the Joaquin Phoenix thing. But I think let's bring this full circle with a comic that came out last year called The Three Jokers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Major storyline written by Jeff Johns, art by Jason Fabok and Brad Anderson, and letters by Rob Lee. And this tale seems to be a Joker story, but if you read it, you find that it's actually about a lot more than that.
It's about Mrs. Chilton.
It's about Mrs. Chilton, yes. So Mrs. Chilton is the Joker.
Yeah,
The other
I love
Jokers,
that.
the other Jokers are Max Chill and Jake Chill.
And Joey Chill
Yes.
and Barbara Chill.
Yes. So Joe Chill has been locked up in Blackgate Prison for years and ends up getting kidnapped by the Joker. One of them, at least. And that Joker puts him on film and asks, "Why did you really kill Thomas and Martha Wayne?" So, next scene, what happens is that Batman and his allies find that Joker is holding Chill in the theater where Bruce and his family saw the Mark of Zorro. Instead of Zorro, however, a film plays of Joe confessing to him killing the Waynes. But the reason why was because he was frustrated with his own situation. He felt that the Waynes were the kind of rich people who didn't care about him or the city. It was only after killing them and seeing the pain that he caused that he realized his mistake, and that he has been guilt-ridden in Blackgate and is currently dying of cancer, and all he's wanted to tell Bruce is the following words: "I'm sorry." The Joker, in the meantime, plans to dump Joe Chill into a whole vat of that's mixture of like the Lazarus Pit, Joker venom, all sorts of stuff, in the hopes of turning him into a new Joker, which would be kind of wild. Joe Chill becoming the Joker would basically fulfill the 89 promise of the killing of the parents.
If you poured in some Bane venom into the Lazarus Pit, what would happen? That would be.
You
that's
come
crazy.
out jacked. That's what happens.
jacked. You come out as a jacked baby.
So let's see. At the so Joker plans to dump him in there, and Joker burns the rope. However, Batman does not let him, and he ends up saving Joe Chill. The heart of the story isn't really the Joker so much as the trauma of the heroes Batman, Batgirl, the Red Hood, but Batman especially with this whole subplot with Joe Chill, who is hinted at already has figured out that Batman is Bruce Wayne and all he wants to do is achieve forgiveness. And in a twist, a very poignant twist, that's what he gets, as Bruce Wayne is by Joe Chill's bedside at the end as he dies and holds his hand and is there on the gravestone, probably a gravestone that he bought for Joe Chill on that, showing that he has possibly forgiven his parents' killer. Why? Well, the last remaining Joker of the three Jokers says, quote, "I healed your greatest wound, so now I can be your greatest pain." So that's why he made that happen. And that wraps up the Joker Joe Chill connection. What do you guys think? What is your favorite takes on the killer? Starting with Zach.
So I would say out of everything that we talked about, my heart says that it's 89 like Jack Napier because I like that connection. And to me as a kid, that was the first Batman thing I ever saw. So I just took that as, the Bible. Like that's what it is. I didn't understand that it was a controversial change to the comic book lore. And I like that. I like that connection between them. I imagine he's really young, like Jack Napier. He could be like 16 or something at the time. So there's not so much of an age gap. But
That is a
now,
well-dressed 16-year-old.
knowing what I know, hey, he's rising up in the mob. He's a sadistic little son of a bitch. But I
My
would say
balls
that
just dropped.
now
That's
that
why he's smiling.
now, knowing what I know now, my favorite story is like Chill of the Night, and I really like the Batman Brave and the Bold version of it, where it has like Batman's Rogues Gallery. To me, I like that. It feels classic, and it feels like a good fitting end to Joe Chill, especially in that one, because not only does he face the retribution of Batman's rogues, he also doesn't Batman like hold him when he dies.
Kind of.
So
yeah.
there's still that little bit of humanity in Batman. To me, like, I really like that. So those are my two favorites.
Yeah. Andrew, did you have any favorites?
The nostalgia's going to win with Batman 89 for sure.
Interesting. Okay.
There's just nothing. I don't know. It's Batman 89. What can you say? But after that, I think I like the last one a lot. The Three Jokers one. I need to read that now. That was really a poignant ending, is what it looked like.
Yeah.
You were covering that for a bit, and then we stopped because we got sidetracked, I guess. But we were covering that in the Patreon.
Saving it for
a
this
bit.
one. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, you buried the lead for a long time, like over a year or something. But yeah, I think that one probably, if it's not 89.
Yeah, I grew up with 89, but I also grew up with the audio cassette tape of The Untold Legend of the Batman, which did a retelling of the Joe Chill story. So my heart is always set in the original Bill Finger Joe Chill story, right down to, him taking off the mask. So any variation of that, whether it's the original story or Untold Legend or Chill of the Night, any of those versions will probably be my favorite. If I were to go to one that's in my personal headcanon, it would probably be along the lines of what Greg Hurwitz and Gotham did, where he confronts the killer before he becomes Batman, because it just seems to make sense there. But I really do enjoy a lot of these. I really love some of the different fates of Joe Chill, the Tom Mankiewicz one in the second draft in particular, or the Ty Templeton, the DCAU one, where Batman just doesn't know who the hell he was and it's forever a mystery to him. There's merit in so many of these. It's hard to pick one of those, but that's why we have a whole episode on the many killers of the Waynes. So with that is superhero stuff you should know. We have a few fan comments for everyone, starting with Carter Shopes. Carter, you've sent us a lot of comments, and this one was on, was Adam West the greatest Batman? Our deep dive into Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders. Carter says, quote, you guys ought to make a best Robin video, like which one of the 4/5 is best. I'm going to ask, do you mean which Robins, as in Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, or do you mean which Dick Grayson actor is the best? Because you've got Douglas Croft, Johnny Duncan, Burt Ward, Chris O'Donnell, Brenton Thwaites. I'm not really going to count Jiggles. I'm not really going to count Joseph Gordon-Levitt on that, but
Jiggles.
let us know.
Yeah.
He doesn't really count. in my
I'd be
opinion.
up for
Chris
it.
O'Donnell, dude, he's the best, bro. We love that.
Let's go into the next one. This is from Oliver Emerald. Oliver commented on our Batman 5 deep dive where we talked about Batman Dark Knight. Oliver says, quote, guys, I am begging you, please get Mark Protosevich, the screenwriter of Batman Unchained, for an interview. You guys do a very fantastic job explaining the smallest of details. I know you can make it happen. Well, thank you. Just like you, I have been researching the Batman Unchained movie. WB should wrap up the Burton Schumacher-verse by making a 2-hour-long animated movie similar to the DC original movies using the same style. It is a shame that the script never saw the light of day. It's high time WB released the script. I hope they release the Schumacher cut, and his interest makes them move forward with Unchained. Also, with the new multiverse of movies, this would be a problem. So, cool. I agree. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. How
And,
awesome would it be to have if Batman 89, the comic, is really successful, if they had a Batman 95
Yeah.
comic and they continued like the Schumacher universe, I think that would be really cool.
With Unchained. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool. So yeah, thank you, Oliver, for that. This last one is from Joseph, who was talking about our Batman Returns dive, saying, quote, "These early drafts of Batman Returns are fascinating. There's good elements in both, but like the first movie, it's fascinating how we got to the final film. I like most of the satirical elements already in Batman Returns, but I do recognize that Daniel Waters' early drafts were way too self-aware and feel like his script for Demolition Man. Also, Bruce feigning and the villains entering the Wayne Manor and Batcave is very reminiscent to what occurs in Batman Forever with Riddler and Two-Face. Great video, guys. Thank you, Joseph.
I loved Demolition Man when I was a kid, dude. I thought that was one of the best movies. I haven't seen it since then. though.
So that is it for the fan comments. Over to you, Andrew.
Man, already, dude, we're at the end. It's crazy. All right, so thanks for those comments, and thank you to our Patreon supporters who are Shasta, Leom O, Super Inframan, Douglas P, Dan D, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir, Jesse E, Jeffrey R, Scott V, Asger's Web, Jeremy H, Alex of the What Mean Podcast, Ian Justice, and our other supporters, Sparkageddon, STCT Productions, Robert Schumann, Kooky Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B, Shamrock Balls, Ian H, Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, and Jackson Putnam. Please join the Shasta Army. That's the $1 tier. Gets you a shout out, but also after that, you have the $5 tier. That's a whole other show. Cancel anytime. And that's a show every Friday. And it's similar to the main show, but it's even deeper dive. So please check that out. It's patreon.com/superhero stuff pod for all that stuff. Get your merch, which is at superhousepod.redbubble.com. Also superherostuffpod.threadless.com. We have all manner of Bin Man and Indeed Wizard mugs, shirts, and shower curtains, working on getting the Jokula. What is it? Zacula?
Jokula.
Jokula. We're working on those coming out soon. And that artwork is by Wolfie Cruz. You can also see that on our website, superherostuffpod.com. But also, please send us any kind of audio that you could ever dream of to superhousepodcast@gmail.com, and you too can be on the show. And we'd love you to animate our sketches and just hashtag them at the bottom throughout the duration of the video if you don't mind. But yeah, we would love to see these sketches that we've made, brought to life with animation, so that would be awesome. And I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Instagram and Twitter. Thunderwolf lives on YouTube, and I talk about all kinds of Japanese stuff there. And I'm Thunderwolf. I'm on thunderwolfdrew.com. My whole portfolio is there. Also, I'm in pre-production for a film now called Amano Recon. That's AMANORECON.com. And you can see what we're up to there. We're in pre-production, which means the planning stages. And it's basically, think of an R-rated Power Rangers meets X-Files. So there's Power Rangers. Well, they're not Power Rangers, but they're inspired by that. And then there's aliens involved, and that's where the X-Files thing comes in and stuff like that. I can't reveal too much other than that, but Zach did a fucking awesome poster for that. And it's not a fan film. It's an original idea, and it will be on Indiegogo at some point in the future. And that's it for me, Ben.
Cool. Thank you. Another shout out as well to Comic Capital on Instagram, as well as the Everything Entertainment Club on Clubhouse. You can follow us on Twitter at SuperhousePod, but for every other social media, we are Superhero Stuff Pod. Instagram, Superhero Stuff Pod. TikTok, Superhero Stuff Pod. Vero, for Snyder fans, Superhero Stuff Pod. My website is benwanrider.com. My YouTube channel is in the description below, along with a link to the upcoming kids comic Early Bird at earl-e-bird.com, where we are revamping the art on a new edition that is on its way. Anyway, my personal Instagram is benwanrider. My son's Instagram, my cat Alfie, is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And if you have a cat yourself, then get Whiskerbox. For every month, you get a special box for your feline friend. And if you don't have a cat but you have a dog, then you can get BarkBox, which is the same thing, but for dogs. And if you like dogs, as we talked about in the promo, then you can check out our link for BarkBox. It is in the description below, as well as what we said in that promo. You can check out a lot of our affiliate links at superherostuffpod.com/shop.
Not the least of which are Whisper Bidets.
Yes.
we are affiliates with Whisper Bidets.
Bidets for your hiney, as
Yes.
Zach's Joker said. So yes, the bidets for your hiney. Yes.
Whisper.
So.
We
And,
wanted to get tushy, but they wouldn't have us.
We don't need them anyways.
Yes, we got Whisper Bidets instead.
We'll never get them now, Zach.
All right, and then over to Zach.
Well, if you'd like to see more of my artwork, you can go to ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com, and you can also follow me on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just look up Zachary Jackson Brown Art. That's it.
Yep, and we can see more of
Nice.
Zach's art here. For those who are part of the $5 Patreon tier, we are going to do a deeper dive into the evolution of Wayne Murders. All the stuff that I cut from this episode is going to be for you guys, since you guys are our patrons. So, specifically, the different movies they saw before their deaths, like The Nun's Story. The dates of their deaths have been differing. The time that they were killed. The location was first called Crime Alley. When was that? As well as where did the pearls first come in? Why did they even want to go to the movies in the first place? That will all be explained in the Patreon episode for the evolution of the Wayne murders. And I believe that is it.
Fuck yeah, man.
Hey,
I want you
dropping those F-bombs, sir.
to... So many goddamn F-bombs in this motherfucker. Why do you gotta fucking... Never mind. I want you to do us a favor.
I want you to tell all your friends about us.
What are you?
Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.